If you have back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, or even pain in your knees or hips, you've probably thought about many possible causes. Maybe you think the problem is a herniated disc, a muscle knot, joint wear, or an injury that just won't heal. But there's a factor that often goes completely unnoticed, a factor that greatly influences how we perceive pain and also directly affects the body's recovery. That factor is sleep. There is more and more research showing that poor sleep can worsen musculoskeletal pain and can also make the pain last longer. And this is something that many people with chronic pain experience. They sleep poorly, wake up many times, don't feel that their sleep is restorative, and the next day, the pain is still there or even worse. In this video, we'll discuss this topic and explore the relationships involved. The connection between sleep and pain, why poor sleep can increase pain, what happens in the nervous system when sleep is of poor quality, and what things we can do to improve rest. Because understanding this can completely change the way we understand pain. For a long time, people thought something very simple. If you have pain, you sleep poorly. And this makes a lot of sense. When something hurts, it's harder to relax, finding a comfortable position or sleeping deeply. But today we know that the relationship between pain and sleep doesn't work in just one direction. It also happens the other way around. Poor sleep can make pain worse, and this is something that has been seen in many studies. People who have poorer sleep quality usually experience greater pain intensity, more sensitivity to pain, more difficulty recovering from injuries, and a higher risk of developing persistent pain. That is, sleep is not simply a pause for the body. Many important things happen during sleep. The nervous system regulates itself, tissues recover, hormones change, and the brain processes information. When sleep is insufficient or of poor quality, all those processes can be affected, and that can directly influence how the brain interprets pain signals. To better understand this, it's important to remember something. Pain doesn't depend solely on the tissues, the body, or the physical aspect. Pain is an experience that the brain constructs from many different signals, including signals from the body, signals from the nervous system, emotional state, stress, fatigue, and also sleep. When sleep is insufficient or fragmented, the nervous system can become more sensitive. It's as if the body's alarm system is more active, and when that alarm is more sensitive. If the alarm system is more active, that's why many people say something like, "When I sleep badly, everything hurts more the next day." And that perception is not a coincidence, it has a pretty clear physiological explanation. One of the most important things that happens when we sleep badly is that the way the nervous system processes pain changes. To understand this, imagine that the nervous system has a kind of pain volume control. When everything is well regulated, that volume is at a normal level. The signals that come from the tissues are interpreted in a balanced way. But when sleep is insufficient or of poor quality, that system can become more reactive. The volume of pain can increase, and that means that stimuli that barely bothered you before can start to hurt more. In fact, some studies have shown something very interesting. Even a single night of poor sleep can increase pain sensitivity the next day. This has been observed in experiments where healthy people are deprived of sleep. Afterwards, their sensitivity to different stimuli is evaluated, and what is observed is that the pain threshold decreases. In other words, the body tolerates painful stimuli less. This gives us a very important clue. Sleep is not only for resting, it also serves to regulate the sensitivity of the nervous system. Another important mechanism has to do with inflammation. During sleep, the body regulates many processes related to the inflammatory response. When sleep is adequate, the body maintains a fairly stable balance. But when sleep is short, fragmented, or of poor quality, that balance can be disrupted. It has been observed that poor sleep can increase the production of certain inflammatory substances, and these substances can make tissues more irritated and more sensitive. This doesn't mean that sleep is the direct cause of an injury, of course not. But it can make a musculoskeletal problem, an injury to the joint or muscle, become more persistent or harder to recover from over time. For example, if a person has lower back pain and also sleeps poorly for weeks or months, it's possible that the inflammatory system is contributing to maintaining the problem. Sleep is also fundamental for recovery processes. While we sleep, especially during the deep sleep phases, the body activates many repair mechanisms, including tissue repair, hormonal regulation, muscle recovery, and reorganization of the nervous system. During these phases of sleep, important hormones are released, such as growth hormone, which is involved in tissue regeneration. If sleep is insufficient or fragmented, these processes can be completely disrupted, and that can make recovery after an injury slower. This is something that athletes know very well. In high-level sports, sleep is considered a fundamental part of recovery. But in the context of musculoskeletal pain, it's often not given any importance. And yet, it can be a key part of the recovery process. Another important aspect that is sometimes overlooked is the effect of sleep on emotional state. Poor sleep not only affects the body, it also affects the brain. It can increase stress, irritability, anxiety, and the feeling of mental fatigue. And all these factors can influence how we perceive pain. Pain is not just a physical signal, it is also modulated by the emotional and psychological context. For example, when a person is very tired or stressed, the nervous system can interpret bodily signals more negatively, and that can amplify the experience of pain. That's why, when we talk about musculoskeletal pain, we often use an approach called the biopsychosocial model. This means that pain is influenced by biological, psychological, and social factors, and sleep is an indispensable part of this system. One of the most important things to understand is that pain and sleep often enter a vicious cycle. That is, one problem feeds the other. Imagine a very common situation. A person starts having back pain. This pain makes it difficult for them to find a comfortable position to sleep. They wake up several times during the night or sleep lightly. The next day, they wake up tired. Their nervous system is more sensitive. The body tolerates movement less well, and then the pain increases. That increase in pain makes it harder to sleep the next night, and so a loop is created. Pain, worse sleep, more sensitivity to pain, more pain. This cycle can last for weeks, months, or even years, and in some cases, it can contribute to the pain becoming completely chronic. That's why, when evaluating a person with pain, it's increasingly recommended to pay attention to how their sleep is. Not just asking if the person sleeps, but asking things like, do you have trouble falling asleep? Do you wake up many times during the night? Do you feel like your sleep is restorative? Do you wake up feeling rested in the morning? Because many times, sleep can be an important piece of the pain puzzle. There are signs that can indicate that sleep is playing an important role in pain. For example, people who feel that their pain is worse when they have slept poorly, or people who notice that when they manage to sleep better for several days in a row, their pain improves. It's also common to see problems such as difficulty falling asleep, frequent awakenings during the night, feeling like sleep is shallow, or waking up in the morning with the sensation of not having rested. In people with chronic musculoskeletal pain, these sleep problems are quite common. In fact, there are numerous references that link an improvement in sleep to an improvement in pain. This, of course, does not mean that sleep is the only cause of pain, but it can be a factor that maintains or amplifies it. And if we manage to improve that aspect, we will probably be able to regulate the nervous system and therefore improve this pain. Now, it's very clear that sleep influences pain, right? But the real question is, what can we do to improve sleep? Why do so many people with pain feel that sleeping well is something they simply can't control? In the next part, I'm going to teach you some strategies that can help improve sleep quality. Some are simple lifestyle changes, and others have to do with how we organize our day and night. Small changes that, over time, can really help you regain your balance and rest better. The good news is that sleep can be improved. It doesn't always happen overnight, but there are habits that can really help your body sleep better again. And when sleep improves, obviously your ability to tolerate pain improves as well. The best strategies I can show you right now are the following. Number 1, keep a regular sleep schedule. The body has an internal clock that regulates sleep and wake cycles. When your schedule changes a lot from one day to the next, that clock can get out of sync. That's why it's usually recommended to try to go to bed and wake up at about the same time every day, even on weekends. This helps the body recognize when it's time to sleep, and over time, it can make falling asleep come more naturally. Number 2, reduce screen use before bed. Yes, that's right. The light emitted by phones, tablets, or TVs can interfere with melatonin production. Melatonin is a hormone that helps the body initiate sleep. When we are exposed to a lot of artificial light at night, especially blue light, the brain can interpret that it is still daytime, and that can delay the onset of sleep. That's why it's usually recommended to try to reduce screen use during the last hour before going to bed. Instead, you can do other activities, such as reading, listening to calm music, or simply slowing down the pace of the day by meditating while sitting on your couch. Third change, create a suitable environment for sleeping. The bedroom environment also has a big impact on sleep quality. Some things that can help are keeping the room dark, avoiding disturbing noises, and maintaining a comfortable temperature. The bedroom should be a space associated with rest. That's why it's also recommended to avoid working or using a computer in bed whenever possible. Fourth change, maintain some physical activity during the day. Moving during the day usually helps promote sleep at night. Physical activity helps regulate the nervous system and the body's rhythms. It's not necessary to do intense exercise. Walking, moving around, or doing therapeutic exercises can be more than enough. Any of my videos will do. For people with musculoskeletal pain, this can be especially helpful. Movement helps the body stay active and can also make your sleep deeper. Fifth item, reduce stimulants at night. As you know, caffeine can stay in your body for several hours. This may seem obvious, but many people drink coffee at the end of the day, so tea, energy drinks, and caffeine in the afternoon will interfere with your sleep. Eliminate them completely or reduce them to a minimum so your body can relax and you get better quality sleep. Sixth, don't obsess over sleep. This may sound absurd, but it's important. Many people with sleep problems develop anxiety around the act of sleeping. They start thinking things like, if I don't sleep well tonight, I'll feel terrible tomorrow. And that constant worry can make sleep even harder. Sometimes the most helpful thing is to adopt a more flexible attitude. If you sleep poorly one night, it doesn't mean the next night will be bad too. Sleep usually improves gradually when you change your habits. To conclude and bring all of this together, everything we've seen in this video, when we think about musculoskeletal pain, we often focus only on the area that hurts: the back, the neck, the knee, the shoulder. We look for exercises to improve that, but the body doesn't work like a machine. It's not something mechanical, okay? And factors like sleep can have a big influence on how the nervous system processes pain. Sleeping well helps regulate the nervous system, helps control inflammation, and helps the body recover better. That's why when we treat pain, it can be helpful to ask a very simple question. How am I sleeping? How is my sleep quality? Because improving sleep can be a very important piece to help your body feel better. I hope you like this video format. As you know, you can join my newsletter if you click right here in the upper right corner of the screen, where every week I share all the videos I publish through my channel. I hope you take all this information seriously, because I assure you it can completely change your life. And I've also recorded a short breathing exercise routine for you to do before bed to lower that nervous tension and help you fall asleep. You'll find it, most likely on the right side, in a few moments on the screen. That's all. I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying with me until the end of the video, and I hope you'll watch me again in one of my other videos. Bye, everyone.